Start, Angie. I think we'll get underway with our broadcast.
Thank you, Karen. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our Genius School webinar. It's so great to have you here, and I look forward to talking to you through our comments and our feed. So this webinar, as we promised, will be covering the importance of developing future skills for lifelong success and the need to prepare young people for the future world of work, as well as strategies of how to learn self-awareness, boosting confidence and setting yourself up for success, learning how to boost your self-expression, strategies to unlock your creative superpowers, and also self-mastery, learning how to develop effective problem solving and critical thinking skills. And we'll also go through the Genius School solution as well. So to introduce myself and Karen, I'm Angie Stead. I'm the co-founder and leader of Genius School. I have early childhood centres and businesses across New Zealand in early childhood education. And Karen Bonanno is our Young Entrepreneur Academy leader and founding educator for Genius School, as well as being a teacher, librarian, and multiple other skills, as well as adult learning and development in the education professional field. So really great to have you here. It'd be great if you could share where you're from and why you're interested in this webinar. Maybe you're a parent or an educator or a teacher, or simply just curious. So it'd be really great to learn a little bit about you. So before we get into our content, I would like to share a little bit about Genius School. So I was going to actually introduce Karen. Can I step back and just get you to say hi, Karen? Sorry.
Yes, that's okay, Angie. I'm just checking. It looks like we're having a bit of problems streaming into Facebook, so we can have our chat within here. And while you're continuing, I will try and deal with the technology. But yes, I'm Karen Bonanno, and I'm an educator with Genius School. I'm leader for the Young Entrepreneur Academy, and I've been involved with Genius School since about 2015. And it's a great program to be involved in, and we have some amazing results happening with our kids.
And some great fun while we're doing it too. So thank you, Karen. I'll leave you as my technology wizard to sort that out. Okay, so Genius School, what are we about in Genius School? So let's just talk about first the meaning of the word genius, because some people are challenged by the concept of us calling every child or every person a genius in their own right. But if we look at the original meaning of the word genius, it's from the ancient Romans believed it means your unique spirit or personality that resides within your body for your whole life. And that word is derived from two Latin terms, which is genius, meaning as above, and ingenium, related to a noun referring to our innate dispositions, talents, and inborn nature. So if we look at the true meaning of the word genius, then it's very easy to see why everybody is a genius in their own right. And our role within Genius School is to really spark that innate talent, to develop the learning dispositions so each child's inborn nature, true genius, can shine. And we believe too that it's really important that we teach children how to think and not what to think. So we're preparing students with the skills for the future and helping them to become lifelong learners. And there's a great quote here by Albert Einstein, which I love, and that is, education is what remains after one has forgotten everything they learned at school. And that's a perfect example of what we talk about when we think about teaching children how to think. It's not about what they're learning, it's about how they're learning and their ability to learn and their interest to learn as well, being intrinsically motivated to follow their own curiosity and become a lifelong learner. We recognise within Genius School that the problem is that the one-size-fits-all model of education is failing our children and results in learning experiences that are often disengaging, irrelevant, and even redundant in today's world. Education's preparing children for jobs that won't even exist in the future. So with over 165 million people out of work globally today, the education system is really both the system's both broken and broke, and we're not preparing our children with the necessary skills for future success as effectively as we could be. And we really believe that our children deserve better. So our promise within Genius School is to deliver personalised paths for learning for every child or adult, whether you're child, student, entrepreneur, artist, change maker, or even global citizen. We teach children how to learn and how to create their own jobs, developing the entrepreneurial spirit. So they don't need to go and get a job. They have the capabilities, should they wish to do so, to go and create their own jobs. And indeed, most students of today will need to do that in the future anyway, simply because many jobs won't exist. And we're not just one school, we're a global school, learning and growing together. And our curriculum consists of our Genius School, which is will be a physical location by September 2021, but right now it's a virtual school where we tailor our virtual programs like the Young Entrepreneur Academy or our Genius Micro Camps and other programs that we have for both students, educators and parents. And we have also, leading from Genius School, the Genius Apprentice Program, which is giving young apprentices the opportunity to, or young people the opportunity to learn with and alongside entrepreneurs and change makers. And that leads on then to the Genius Academy, which is lifelong learning for leaders and entrepreneurs, united collectively by working towards the UN global goals. And to support all of that, we have the global online platform with its own virtual Genius assistant called Genius U. And there's so much great content on Genius U that is free to everybody. So I'd encourage anybody to explore that platform and just see what goodies they can find for themselves on their learning journey. So in summary, our Genius School solution is around developing self-awareness, self-expression in order to achieve self-mastery. And like I say, we do that through a number of programs, our Young Entrepreneur Academy being one, and our micro camps is another one that we are targeting specifically towards preteens and teens right now. And these programs actually develop the necessary skills for the future, which include developing the not only the cognition, the critical thinking, problem solving skills and other necessary learning dispositions, but also accelerating a student's general well-being and sense of autonomy, confidence, competence, etc., as they embark on their learning journey or their journey into the business or academic world. And the skills for the future consist of character education. So it's not just about what we learn, it's about who we are and about our character and our integrity. It's being a global citizen. So recognizing that we're no longer living in isolation from the rest of the world. Technology has opened the world up to everybody being a global citizen and doing that really easily. Even programs like this support that. Programs, I should say, webinars like this support that too. And communication skills, they're really, really important. Communication and collaboration, because they are critical skills for not only your success within the working world or education, but also in relationships. And when we measure success, we look at success in all areas of life, not just academic achievement or business success, but being completely happy and successful in every aspect. And of course, within all of that is creativity and imagination as well, which, for our young people of today to be able to go and recreate a whole new way of living, a whole new way of earning, as technology takes over a lot of the work that we do today, it certainly takes a high level of creative thinking. And we need to be able to imagine something new before we can create it. So that's just a brief summary of the necessary skills for the future and why they're important. And one of the skills, one of the tools that we'll be sharing with you, or I'll be sharing with you tonight, supports how to develop them skills. and that is self-reflection or journaling. And you know, just to think, to ask yourself the question, why is it that many successful people, and the most successful people, are those who journal? And I know that if you ask, it's not something that necessarily most people are taught in school or even experience in their life generally, but it's definitely a skill for being able to grow your self-awareness. And the reason for that is that the reason that most entrepreneurs or successful people are successful because they journal, or one aspect of it, is because they understand that their business is a reflection of themselves. So the reflective process helps you to think about who you are and how you think and what your beliefs are. And it does that. I'll share the process in just a second. It's really important skill to learn, because otherwise we can go blindly on, being totally unaware of why we make decisions, why we behave, why we do the way we do, and why we respond or react to certain situations. And this quote by John Dewey says it all, and that is that we don't learn from experience, we learn from reflecting on that experience. And I can explain why that is the case here. Because very often in the experience, we're having the experience, which is the what happens. So what happens, or what am I experiencing right now? When we're in the experience, we're often so wrapped up in the present and reacting and or responding to situations that happen in that moment. And of course, every experience in our life has an element of an emotional response to it, because we're in that moment, we're experiencing an emotion, a feeling, a thought, and we're reacting or responding from that point. So, and when we're caught up in that experience, it's very hard to be objective. It's very hard to step aside and think about it from a point of attachment. So journaling allows us to do that. Journaling and self-reflection are essentially the same thing, in that journaling is a tool for self-reflection. So if, for example, I don't know, you had an argument with a friend today, and you both got really upset with each other and said things and did things, and you really don't know what to do about it, or how to deal with it, or what the solution is going forwards, how to make amends. Well, the best thing to do is to find a quiet place and go and write down what happened, as much as you can remember without overthinking, as much as you can remember about that experience. Just get it down on paper as quickly as you can. And then once you've done that, then go back and think, right, that's what happened. That's what happened at that time. What does that mean to me? So that is the so what. You have the what, and then you say, well, so what? So what does that mean to me? So you look at it from a point of view where you're not caught up in that immediate emotion. You've had time to step away and really think about it. And then you go, well, let's examine each aspect. You know, this is what happened. This is how I responded. And then you can say, oh, that's interesting. Why did I respond that way? And you can really start to unpick in a very safe space, because remember, this is just for you. Nobody else is looking at this. So in a very safe space, you can really unpick and examine every action that you took. You can't control other people and how they react or respond, but you can build a level of awareness about why you respond the way you do, why you said what you said, and why you reacted in that way. And then once you've built that little list, or made those notes about what that felt like, why you responded that way, then you can think about the next step. So what does that mean to me now? What am I going to do with that information? How might I deal with that differently going forwards? What can I do to resolve the situation now? And all those great reflections, you know, the who, what, why, when, how, where, all those great reflective questions you can ask yourself whilst you're in a safe space talking to yourself essentially, and really, you know, it's a very healing process to go to have that experience, to really be able to examine your thoughts and feelings in a way that is safe for you. And remember, what you think about what happens, what you think about a situation is more important than what anybody else thinks. But this is a tool for you to examine your thoughts, to be thinking about how you're thinking. And that process is actually, as you can see, it's drawn in a triangle, but it's actually a circle. And it's almost like a spiral going upwards. So every time we have an experience, if we can reflect on that, it takes us to a higher level of awareness. Then we have a similar experience again and reflect on it. And every time it takes us to a higher level of self-awareness about ourselves. So you can apply that tool to any aspect of life. You can use it in work, you can use it in school, in your study, and you can use it in your personal life as well. So it's a really quick, simple, easy tool to use. And there are many benefits on reflective journaling as well, many benefits to your learning. And this is just to name a few, but there's benefits to learning and benefits to your own personal well-being as well. So the benefits to learning is it helps you make sense of things that might have happened. Because again, you're not in the emotion, you're looking at it from a different perspective. It helps you align your future actions, decisions, and values with lessons that you've learned from that reflective process. And it helps you to share your thoughts and ideas. Very often we can have all these ideas and, you know, all these plans, but maybe not able to articulate them as well as we could so that other people can understand them. To be able to write them down and reflect and critically look at how we're thinking and how we're communicating can really help you to share maybe complex ideas and thoughts with other people as well. And they're just a few of the learning benefits. And Karen will go more into learning after this as well. But the biggest benefit, I think, is the benefit to your own well-being. Journaling can actually grow your self-awareness, as we've talked about, and in turn that grows your emotional intelligence, your self-confidence. It can reduce stress and anxiety, and it certainly can increase self-esteem as well. So it's really, really great tool. And some reflective questions you can ask yourself, and I know many successful entrepreneurs who actually use these questions in their own journaling and reflective diaries. And that is, what did I learn from this experience? And we teach our young people on the Young Entrepreneur Academy the value of self-reflection and the fact that we're either in business, we're either learning or we're earning. So our business is a tool through which we can accelerate our level of thinking, our level of consciousness, because we're on that reflective cycle and we always renew and review everything that we do. So we're either having the learning experience or we're having an earning experience, and often they both go hand in hand. So it's really good to be asking the question, what did I learn from this experience? And another one is, how did I feel when? So really examining how you felt and where those feelings came from, because sometimes we can trigger an emotion because of a past experience, not necessarily because of what's happening right now in this moment. So to learn that is really important. And maybe, why did I feel or react this way? Another good question is, what am I so grateful for? If you spend the day, if you start your day asking yourself some of these positive questions, like, what am I so grateful for? Or why am I so happy? Or what's so great about today? Then you're really setting yourself up in the most positive way to start your day. And it's also great to revisit that at the end of the day as well. And it just keeps you in that positive mindset. And, you know, that great question of, what could I do differently next time? And remember, life's a journey, and it's a learning journey. So it is an emotional journey too. Learning is an emotional journey. So please always be kind to yourself, and remember to use this reflection tool just for you, not for anybody else. It's for you to use to support your learning and your emotional journey going forwards. So are there any questions from anybody or any comments that we can support?
We've got people coming in from the UK.
Oh, cool. My home country.
From the Netherlands, now residing in another location. We've also let people know too, someone's asked about whether they can have access to the slides. We said, yes, that'll come
Absolutely.
out so that you'll be able to get those by email, but also too, we'll post them into the Facebook group. And my apologies, the technology challenged me too much. And it was asking me for all sorts of interesting coding. And I thought, okay, let's just stick with where we are right now while we've got people here.
Nice.
Yes, so no questions at the moment. Be good to know if people have got any reflections on what you were talking about, the reflective questions. So if anyone wants to key in there, that'd be great.
Or does anybody on the call use a reflective journal, or do journaling, or keep a diary, or any other similar tool of self-reflection?
Probably keep a diary, but I'm not very good at doing that. I am not very regular at keeping a track of things, but certainly asking myself those questions and other questions, and doing it all sorts of times when, particularly even on this, it's being reflective on the activity that we're doing right now and seeing where we can do some improvement. So Andy says, I keep a diary using OneNote, password protected.
Now that's clever.
Wise move. Yeah. Never know what's liable to appear. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, it's really good because it gets you thinking about how you think. And that's why, you know, it really is it can support your lifelong success, because not everybody does that.
Yeah, Marion's got circle thinking, repeating again and again. And that's, I guess, like your spiral, Angie, that every time that you're doing this, it is taking you to a higher level of self-awareness and also perspective of what you're seeing.
And this journaling can be words and pictures. It doesn't have to be just words. And the benefit is for yourself. So password protecting is a good thing, but sometimes even just writing it down and then throwing it away is okay as well. It's the process, the thinking process that you go through as you write it down. So it's not something that you have to keep forever and ever. It can be something that you keep for a moment, or it can be something you revisit many times. It certainly is down to personal experience.
Okay, well, I'll pick up now and pick up the sharing. So let's see if I'm not technologically challenged once again. And just
I just want to say I'm glad you're doing that, Karen, not me.
Yes, I mean, we've had some interesting moments with technology, but what I'm going to do is share with you a little strategy, and it can be used in different situations, and it's called a double bubble map. Now, if that sounds a bit quirky, let me see if I can do an interesting screen share here. So this is what we would call just a Venn diagram, but it's looking a little prettier than just a Venn diagram. But a double bubble is getting you to think about things when you need to be looking at similarities and differences, or when you're comparing and contrasting something. Now, using this strategy allows you to become more aware of what is happening, the information you're needing to capture, but it allows you to get perceptive about, well, what are the similarities and particularly what are the differences? So in the blue spot here is where you put the particular topic. So it might be something that has to do with history. It could be something to do with sport. It could be something. So, for example, if you were to say you want to look at soccer and football and look at the similarities and differences there. So just as an example I've got here is dealing with history. So let's think about things like historical periods of time. We could look at the 1930s and we could look at the 1980s, which, where I'm from here in Australia, is considered the bust and boom years. So we could put the 1930s in the blue circle and the 1980s into the other blue circle. And then we say, well, what are the similarities between these two eras of history, but what are the differences? Now, when we start to do that, it means that we're becoming more informed when we may be involved in discussion or debates or conversations. It allows us to become more attuned to what is happening. And then I've got there the example, of course, fake news has become a trendy term, and I'm sure that there's something happening in your part of the world right now where fake news is there. So what you could do is in one bubble, you could put the news source. It could be, say, social media. It could be on the other one. It could be a news feed that you may subscribe to. And the particular topic is around something that's happening and saying, well, what are the similarities and differences here? Now, what this also does, it helps you to start to filter the messages that you're receiving. So it helps you to look at, well, what is something that's current here? What is something that's relevant? Is the person who's giving this information out an authority in their field? And what is the purpose of that? Now, if you're smart and you're with me, you'll see that I've used the word current, relevant, authority, and purpose, and it's an acronym. So if you put that acronym together, you might get an idea of what I'm saying about working out what is true, false, what is misinformation, and what is this fake news. So that's one way that you can do it. A way that we get our young entrepreneurs to do this when they're working with us in the academy is we say, well, okay, we're looking and asking you to identify your competitor, and you have your product or service and you have your competitor. So in the blue circle, they would put themselves and their business, and in the other blue circle, they would put their competitor. And then they start looking at what are the similarities and differences. So it might be similarities in the type of product or service, but the difference might be in price. There might be similarities in other aspects of the way it's delivered. It might be delivered online. But what is the difference? Well, it's a young person delivering services or an online service about tutoring in mathematics. So they understand from a young person's point of view how to make learning math fun. And we'll share some of these if we have time. So they start to see, well, what is the point of difference here that makes me unique in whatever service I'm offering? And then that's what they can then leverage up and add value so that they then take that edge of the competitor and how they would attract their particular client to them. So that's just one way of using the double bubble. And with the double bubble, this is what we're doing. We're getting them to compare. So it's looking at two things that are both similar and different. And we often hear people say, you know, you have to compare apples with apples. Well, we could say we're comparing apples with oranges. Or we could even say comparing apples with apples, but we're looking at two different brands or varieties of apples. And then we can contrast in that we're examining the differences. So again, if we go back to Angie sharing about the self-awareness, the self-expression, the self-mastery, using a double bubble helps to build that up. It helps to build the awareness around a particular topic or issue or concern or whatever it might be. And then it starts to build up that self-expression. If I am using a double bubble, I can gather information that will help me to be more informed when it comes to my conversation or when it comes to my presentation or when it comes to doing something in a particular way. And so we can apply this double bubble concept to anything. You can see there I've got sport, I've got types of music, I've got stories, any particular topic, and also within a school environment, it's any particular subject. So things like history and science, even maths and English language arts, all of those, you can use those as a double bubble. So I'm not sure whether anyone has used the concept of a double bubble or Venn diagrams. If anyone's used that, then maybe we can have someone key in something for us in the particular chat there. Yes, I've got Andy saying that so Ikigai would be a double bubble. Yes, it's a more complex double bubble because we have a number of overlapping circles. But what we're looking at is the sweet spot that we find when we align our talents, our passion, our purpose, and what we would get paid for. So yes, it's a complex double bubble. So that's a good perception of the Ikigai. So thanks for that. Okay, let's go on to another strategy. And again, these strategies are all designed to get that higher level of thinking with our young people. And so often when they're presented with a piece of assessment or an assignment, or even it's something that they're doing within class, there are key words that they need to look for. So in this case, the strategy I'm showing you here is aligned to when they're asked to discuss something or investigate it or to summarize it. So any of those key words that might pop up. So let's say they might be asked to discuss the benefits or discuss whether young people should have access to credit via their phone once they leave school. So then they say, okay, we're going to discuss this, which means we're also going to investigate it. And the pros and cons and questions thinking tool that we have here allows us to explore that. So for example, if we were to say, should a young person when they leave school have a phone which will allow them to use it to have credit, then we can say, well, what are the pros here? Well, it's convenient. They're carrying it around with them all the time. The cons might be, well, it has a higher interest rate. The question might be is, well, what or how should a young person endeavour to pay off their monthly amount so they're not going into debt? So each of those are where we're exploring what we've got other terms here, the positives and negatives from different perspectives. Now, when we do that, you may have heard the term that we're putting on a different lens. So each time we're putting on a different lens to look at the particular question of what the pros and cons might be. And then when we get to the questions, they're the questions which are, as Angie mentioned before, we want them to be open-ended questions so that it doesn't just give us a yes/no answer. So if I go to my next slide here, I've got the 5 W's and how. Now, if any of you joined us on an earlier webinar that we had, I was looking at teaching you how to use the digits on your hand to remember the questions. And we teach that strategy to our young entrepreneurs when they join us. And so the thumb is the why question, the pointer finger is the what question, the middle finger is the who, the ring finger is the when and the where, and the little finger is the how. So it's a way that they can quickly recall that. So if we go back to our pros and cons, then we can ask our question, we could ask a why question, or we could ask a what would happen if question. What would happen if they didn't have credit on their phone, that they could just wave over something and go and purchase things? And how would they manage that? How would they keep a track of what they're spending? So there are questions there. And what happens is that triggers then further research that a person would do. And ultimately, we're starting to get to a level where that young entrepreneur is more informed about what they're going to do to make decisions in an informed way, rather than in a reactionary way. They'll be more informed because they've used this particular tool to go through the pros and cons and the questions. So a way that we can get them to use it when they're working with us in the Young Entrepreneur Academy to develop their business, we might get them to look at the pros and cons about what type of marketing tools they might use. And how useful they are. And if there's something that they don't understand, then it's a question they put in the question box. And that's something they then go off and explore to answer that particular question. So we've got different ways of doing things in our particular strategies, and we're taking them from, say, a education or learning environment and applying them into another level of how a young person would be involved in our particular Young Entrepreneur Academy or in any of our Genius School programs. So if we've got any questions or thoughts on that, I just need to have a look at the chat here. Yes, so you can use rhyme, poem. There's all sorts of things. You can use pneumatics. There's different ways that you can use different tools to be able to look at applying and recalling. So as I said before, we look at the key words. So whether it's recall, whether it's discuss, whether it's to explore, whether it's investigate, that's the key word that can trigger the different type of tool that you would use to help you to dive deeper into what you're learning. So in this case here, with our higher order thinking, there are all these words come into play. So we're identifying the advantages, the benefits, the good points, the positives, and we're considering the disadvantages, negatives, weak points, problems, and then we're exploring the questions and the possibilities and the wonderings. And so this also helps to stimulate the curiosity in a young person, which is a great basis from which to start, because then we know that we're engaging them because they're coming from this a sense of wonderment, this sense of discovery, this sense of adventure, and needing to explore the information that's there. So what I wanted to do is just give you a little bit more information about our Young Entrepreneur Academy, which we have happening in January. We have this particular program, and it's a 4-week program whereby we take children from the age of 10 to 18, and we help them to develop a lot of these particular higher order thinking strategies, but in the context of getting them to consider being a young entrepreneur, of starting their business for the first time, helping them to create it, develop it, and plan it, and then launch it. And we do that all within a 4-week period of time. So we have our particular page, which I'm going to go to here. Now, Angie, you can tell me if you're able to see that, or whether the technology and Zoom and all the rest has tricked me up.
It's all good. It's all good, Karen.
Great.
We can see it.
Good. Thank you very much. So this is a page where we'll give you the link. We've got our team there in our chat space, and they can enter that link. So thanks, Penny, for that. It's great. We've got our team behind the scenes. So this gives you an outline of the basics of the program. So we're giving them these skills and the entrepreneurial training to build their fully functional digital business. And we have done this, and we'll share some examples. I consider that we'll have time to do that. And what they do then is they're involved in going through some content, but going through some facilitated supporting and learning. And all the way along, they're continuing to learn and apply on a regular basis to actually launch their business at the end of the 4 weeks. And so we have a junior camp for 10 to 13-year-olds and a senior camp for 14 to 18. And you see the date there for our next event is the 4th of January to the 29th of January. And I'll skip over this bit because it's a little bit of what we've already done. And also there's information there about Genius School, and Angie covered that, but you can get the information again. If you go to this page, you can read a little bit more in detail rather than just from the slides. But we have some reasons here of why. What we have finding is that young people are really keen, particularly in the current crisis situation, to find their voice and find their sense of purpose, and find how they can move forward from where they are at this time when we're dealing with crisis, we're dealing with challenges, and this gives them a sense of purpose to do so. So one reason that we have there is this improves their confidence and self-esteem, and also their grades, because we're teaching them some of those thinking tool strategies as we go through. It's also giving them the opportunity to meet other like-minded people of their own age who are also coming with this sense of, I want to learn what it is to develop this entrepreneurial mindset, this ability to be able to develop a business and connect with young people. And we have had a lot of them connecting with each other and supporting each other through their businesses. But also too, when we have them in our collaborative space, we have them in supporting and encouraging each other. And that's a great benefit, because then they know that they're going to make a difference and be able to step up. We have our expert faculty of mentors provide their time to us to come and give those content sessions, which are extremely valuable. And these people are people who are successful in their own business. So that's a crucial part. We have those mentors there, and then we have also our facilitators who then help our young people. So we take them into smaller groups to then look at unpacking some of the content, applying it, and helping them to work through developing their business. So as you can see, they've got their own dedicated facilitator who supports them through that process. And then this is the magic bit at the end. Some of you may be aware of a number of different television shows where the kids get a chance to pitch, or adults get a chance to pitch their business. Or we have a similar situation here as well, where a young person gets a chance to pitch their business, and then they go into the draw to win some of our prizes and some of our other resources to support them, but also some cash too to help them to get their business going and kickstart it and get it off the ground. So we have different things happening. This is what we provide. Just a quick summary. There's 4 weeks of this expert guidance by the particular mentors, and those mentor sessions are delivered on the Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And we have 3 time zones that we work across. So we're actually able to deliver this around the world. So it's a case of you can pick a time that's going to best suit you out of those 3 time zones. Then after the 4 weeks, we also have 4 group mentoring sessions. And so this is just helping them to start off on their first milestones and get started. And then we help them to reflect. Like, for instance, Angie shared about reflective journals. We get them to also reflect. And that's when they have these insights and these aha moments that they share with us when they get the chance to do that. We also have a profiling tool, which we get the young people to undertake before they start. It's a multiple choice questionnaire, and it gives them an extremely valuable report, which really does support that development of confidence, their development of self-awareness of who they really are and how they can use their natural capabilities and strengths to apply to their business, but also then in their own learning back at school as well. So that's the key components there. And as I said, we've got the junior camp and the senior camp. We bring them all together for when we do our mentor sessions, but then we split them up into different groups for when we do our facilitation. So they do get this personal profile, as we shared with you in the couple of strategies we've given you. They're getting those future ready skills. Angie shared with you those 6 P's of education. So they're getting those collaboration, creativity, critical thinking, problem solving, communication, being a digital person and having that responsibility in the digital global space. They're getting those entrepreneurial skills. We also have them in a global community where they will be able to connect. And it is a closed private community because we're conscious of the fact that we're working with kids, but it's where they connect with other people in that space and they can share thoughts and ideas. We give them the opportunity to ask questions, and we're supporting them through that, and also to get some funds for their startup business. We've included our key learning outcomes here because we are demonstrating to them that we have an expectation that they will also fulfill. But also, if there's parents online, you can know that this is what's happening, and it's being supported by a 10-stage framework structure. And that way, then, if anyone from education, I saw someone is a maths teacher here. So we're scaffolding the learning all the way through, and we're allowing them to be the independent learner in this. They're the one who comes up with their idea of their business, and then we scaffold that learning through these key learning outcomes. As you can see, we get them to be setting a future vision. So that's developing some of their SMART goals. We then look at their project. We look at helping them to understand what it is to run a business in their finances and how to manage that and measure it. We look at the promotion strategies and the different way that they will identify their particular customer. And we look at making sure they match. So that's when we might use, say, that double bubble, looking at the similarities and differences there, or the pros, cons, and questions. So some of those tools we're using all the way through to support this. Then it's looking at their teams. How are they going to be? Because everybody knows if they're a smart entrepreneur, they know they can't do it all themselves. So we get them focusing on building a team and how to do that in a really effective way so that it's supporting their business growth. We look at different business models, also that customer pathway. How do we take our customer on this value added journey? And then they get to launch their business, and then we continue to support them over the next 4 weeks. And then also they still stay within our particular private circle space, and they can continue to be supported and asking questions. So you can, follow this page here. You can book a call with our Genius Igniters, and they will work out the best pathway for you to take for your child. But here we've got our particular faculty. So all of these people come with their own expertise, whether it be finance, whether it be setting vision, whether it be identifying customers, whether it be taking care of your health, because as an entrepreneur, that's important, whether it be looking at how you set up the rhythm in your business, the digital tools that you'll use. All of our mentors here come with their own unique expertise. And then we have our range of facilitators here who are in the background supporting these young people in the smaller group situations in that case. So there's a nice little letter here if you want to go and read that from the co-founders, Angie and Roger, for the Genius School. And then if we go down a little bit further, these are some steps that you can take. So the process is that you will apply, and you'll be invited onto a call with one of our Genius Igniters who will take you through the process, giving you a little bit further explanation, but also what is the best outcome for you, for your child, and the particular group that they would be involved in. And Angie mentioned about learning and earning. Well, our young people will be doing the same. They will be learning and earning through this process, and they can be successful if they apply themselves to it. So you might wonder who this is for. Well, if you're an entrepreneur yourself and you have children who you wish to engender that particular same spirit of entrepreneurial enterprise, then that would be for you. Or you could be a homeschooling parent who's looking to add some value to the education and learning process within your homeschooling environment or your homeschool learning hub or your community. You could be a teen yourself and you're going, wow, I need to do this. I need to start a business. I need to create a job for myself rather than sit around and wait for a job to come to me. So this is great for teens who are keen to step up there and create their own destiny and their own future. It's also an opportunity too, because we invite parents to be involved in this. And so it develops this relationship, and some of the magic that we've seen happening through the Young Entrepreneur Academy is the difference and the change in conversation that happens between the parents and the children, because they start to have, as we've said, this higher level of awareness of the conversations. And really, you know, your child is capable of many things, and our program is designed to ignite that genius of getting them to be excited about what they can learn within the academy. So this just gives you more information, and you can have a look at that so that you can see more of the detail of what's involved. But as I said, it's over the 5 days over 4 weeks, where Monday, Wednesday, and Friday are content, Tuesday and Thursday are implementation. And if for whatever reason your child misses a session, it's always recorded. They always have access, and we follow up with them to make sure they're pretty well on task. You also get, you get the talent dynamics for young people token, but you also get a talent dynamics or wealth dynamics token. And that's for you if you're a parent, because if we can get you both understanding your particular behavioral profiles and unique characteristics, then that's great that you can be supporting each other. There's actually something we add in here as an extra bonus, the Genius Entrepreneur Mastermind, because that's where you will be involved for 12 months in calls where Roger Hamilton is talking with people who are experts in their field and sharing these unique aspects of the way that they manage and run their businesses. And so they're valuable calls where he is involved in interviewing people, but he also provides this chance for you to ask questions. And so he will answer those on that call. There's also a budget component here. So if you find that maybe when you're on the Genius Igniter call, you go, well, this maybe is not right for me right now, but something in the future, there is a budget component here, which is a do-it-yourself. So there's no interactivity, there's no engagement with the mentors, there's no engagement with facilitators. It's really you doing it within your own time. And I mentioned the competition before. So every child has the chance to win some prizes and some finances to help them start their business. And down here, I've got some comments here made by a couple of people who are on our last academy. So Ben here has a company called Kid Finity now, and it's all about podcasting. So for him, he came in with a basic idea for a business that he had been working on, but it allowed him to take that to a higher level. And then his mum, Sylvia, really was thankful and grateful for this, because she saw that this was a great opportunity. And we've stayed connected with the family to see how they're going and share their story in the whole process. So down here, you'll find that there is more detail on, or a summary of what is involved. The early application is 997, and you have information here where you can key in and apply for the particular program. So we would encourage you to be involved in that. And I just wanted to know, Angie, whether there's any questions there that we may need to answer.
No questions at the moment, Karen, not in chat. So
yeah, what we might do, if people are interested, what we might do is just share with you some of the plans that our kids actually put together. Do people want to do that? Do people are keen to see some of the outcomes of our kids? So we'll do that. I'll go to share my screen here. I've just been talking about Ben. So this is his business plan that he put together for Kinfinity. And as you can see, he identified his particular customer, what we call a customer avatar. And then he went through and he identified what the problem of the customer was, and what he was promising them, and what his product was going to be, but then also any proof that he had and the particular price that he had. So as you can see, here's Ben and his teammate Noah, and they were in lockdown during the time when this was happening. So you can see there they've got their t-shirts and they're ready to go. And an interesting thing I'll share with you, that as a result of the success of what Ben has done, he was interviewed by one of the TV stations in the US about what he did during the lockdown and during the summer holidays. And so we have this great opportunity to showcase some of our young people. So he's got here the problem that he's got, and he's aligning this with kids, that kids want to have a voice, they want to speak up. They may not be able to do it themselves, and he has a service that helps them to do that. So all of this has gone through. This is where he's checked in on his competitors. So that's a little double bubble activity there of looking at what are the similarities and differences. So that's one example. If I go, while I'm on bubbles, I'm going to go across to wild bubbles. And this is a very young entrepreneur who is about 10 years of age. And Isa came in without any idea at all of what she wanted to do. And in the first few days, she was kind of flip-flopping around thinking, well, what am I going to do? I love this and I love that. And eventually what she was able to do was start to think about aligning her passions and purpose. And this is what we do. Andy mentioned before about the Ikigai. We use that within our program to align their talents and their passions, their purpose, and what they could be paid for. And her purpose was, she was concerned about the insects in the world and how using our commercial products that we're using for personal hygiene are not friendly to the insects. And so she wanted to protect the animals. And so for her, she developed her business around wild bubbles, which was all about soap making. So she has her vision that she put in another spot for us. And here she's got her customer. And it was really about, again, because we were doing this during the lockdown, she was focusing on the fact that everybody's got to wash their hands all the time. And so all of this commercial product with all of the nasties in it is going out into the water system. So she wanted to develop a product which was sustainable, organic. And so that was her soap making business. So here she says, children need to clean their hands, use soap, shampoo that doesn't harm our environment. Also, children not aware of the harm they can do to insects if they're using this. So she was having like a double whammy here, getting her soap making, but also putting things together to have it so that people would be able to understand the importance here. So her purpose is protect the wild and educate children about the insects of the world. So that was that particular program. And then this is young Felicity. again, another person from our junior camp. And Felicity is just this amazing young person at math. And for her, she was saying that her classmates always say to her, "You are godsend for teaching me how to do math." So she was always helping her classmates. And so she thought, oh, I could actually start a math tutoring. So again, she put together her plan. As you can see, she's written out her vision and mission. And it was great to read that, to find out what her vision and mission was. And then she went through and identified her particular customer. And as you can see, she's got stressed out Sam here is 7, can't do things, not happy, bored, struggling. So I know that stressed out Sam is not reaching his full potential. If I help him with one thing, he no longer struggles. So she was able to identify that and know that people who are under a lot of pressure and a lot of stress struggle in the classroom. And so she wanted to help to support them. So they're just a couple of the examples of our young entrepreneurs and the work that they have done. So we would love to have your children join us so that we can take them on this very, very interesting journey. I'm just thinking whether I need to, Angie, have you got the slides there that you might want to share just to finish up for us?
Yep, I can, Karen.
So just looking at the chat that's happening there, Karina is saying fantastic to see their projects and what they've learned.
Oh yeah, amazing.
Great, yes.
Yeah, cool. Okay, Karen, I just need to catch up a little bit with you.
There you go back a fraction and we're right. So yes, there's more of our young people that we had as well. So we've just shared with you a few of those, but each of them have developed their plans as well.
It's so hard to even convey the gravity, the impact that this event had on the young children, but more so on the facilitators as well and ourselves. It was such an honor and a privilege, an amazing experience. The children are so much better than adults at learning some of these new things.
Yes, in fact, we were very surprised at how quickly they grasped a lot of the entrepreneurial mindset content and then were able to apply it. So thank you everybody for being on our call, and we will share this recording with you as well as the slides. And there's a great quote there of John Dewey: "If we teach today's students as we taught yesterday's, we rob them of tomorrow." And yes, we are keen to be supporting our young leaders who can step up and make a difference, particularly when they are aligning their passion and their purpose and then finding that opportunity to create a job that's going to suit them and then allow them to grow and develop.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you. And we will bid everybody farewell at this point, and we'll get information to you in that Facebook. But yes, there's the link to the launch page where you can find more information.